Joyful day, beautiful beings, joy for all things, beautiful hearts. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I just want to say thank you. But if you have been growing intentionally with me, then thank you for making me better. So let's get right to it. This water, right? This water is highly intentional and contagious to saturate your soul that will flow into your economic status and the love of yourself and also the love of somebody else. Right. This is highly watering. This is the modern day holy water. Yeah. This is the in between reminders for you to remind yourself to intentionally be your best you, right? So you don't be so human that you forget that you are a spiritual being in this body operating, right? As mom and dad, CEO, male, female, whatever gender you want to identify with in that gender was a spirit before all of that, right? And so let's not get so human on this Friday that you do thirsty things on the weekend, that you do thirsty things that will intentionally hurt somebody. Don't harm people with your mouth. Don't harm people with your deeds. Don't harm people with your status. Because what it all boils down to, what it all is going to boil down to is that when we don't show up for us, then we teach our children, those who are going to come after us, that we can't get along, that it's about bashing each other, right? And that we really have been punk fake by the societal biases and traditional biases that the world has propagated for us, right? Like the world has set us up for a whole big thing. And if we don't start acknowledging that, then we are really the weapons formed against ourselves. And queens, listen, empresses, goddesses, queens, listen, little ones, old ones, seasoned ones, right? How dare we not hold space for our men, right? How dare we not hold space for our men? And this is not holding them accountable. This is not making excuses for all these things, right? I'm not taking none of those things away because those things absolutely have to be acknowledged. But when we acknowledge those things, we cannot forget to acknowledge that there was an intentional thing, the Willie Lynch thing, the Willie Lynch theory to train slaves, to build up slaves, that were intentionally about destroying and beating down our men in front of us as women, in front of us as the XX part of the man. They would do this in front of us to put us so in fear that we would listen and obey. And so don't forget that we wrestle against things that we can't even see. So there are narratives that have put our man in places that have stopped them from being even what we need for them. But so we got to fight against those things too, not just fight against our men. And so when we say that our men ain't good enough and our men ain't this and our men ain't that, then are we helping him do that? Or are we just bashing him? Are we just closing the door on him? When we done sucking and fucking him, when we done using him, when we feel like he has no use of me, right? No use to me, then what are you doing? You just throw him out with the trash? Like, because there's still value in him. Even if you don't want him, there is still value in him. Like, there's still value in you, queen. And so, men, we have to do our part, right? Men, as a woman who didn't grow up with her father, right? I didn't grow up with my dad, but I had in between men, in between male energy to fill in, right? I had a mentor that looked after me from my dropout prevention program. My stepfather, who was actually on drugs with my mama, but he still made sure that my mom had money to take us places. So we still got great men, but in our great men are human conditions. And so that's all I'm saying. And so, men, honor the woman because the woman too has been bamboozled. Just like we've been bamboozled to attack you and to not appreciate you, y'all have been bamboozled to attack us too. Y'all have been bamboozled to only see us as sexual things and not things that you can appreciate and the things that add value to you. We add value to you. We are your counterpart. There is no reason that we should be in competition and going back and forth with our counterpart. With the thing that we need, and I don't care how much independent we are, I need you. Let me say that I don't care how independent I am as a woman. I'm never so independent to be highly mistaken that we don't need a man, right? Because our boys need the man. So even if I feel like I don't need you and I'm good being single, ladies, our young men need men. They need representation of what it looks like. And if all the men are beat up, battered, used by the state, pimped by the government, child support system, like if they are all those things, then what good representation are we giving our young boys who will be men? That's the free water today. And I know I kept it. Normally it's short and normally it's, something kind of whatever, but I need us to do some deep thinking. Martin Luther King said that it pains us to think deeply. So all we want is half-baked solutions. It's easy for you to hate him. It's easy for you to say he ain't no good. It's easy for you to say this and this about a woman, right? But who is gonna say, you know what, I see this about you and I don't like this about you, but I want to help you help yourself figure out how no longer to be that version of yourself. That's it. Listen, I want us to bloom intentionally. I want us to bloom outside of the narratives, outside of the matrix, outside of the bullshit that they've created for us to live off of. Don't you see that they made us depend upon them for our money, for our education, for our health care? And so we are absolutely still slaves to them. So until we got our own banking system, until we got our own school systems, until we have our own health care, then we're going to constantly still be slaves of those that oppress us. That's the message. Don't sleep on you. Don't do thirsty things on the weekend. Don't lose your bitterness because what one man didn't do, or use an excuse because your daddy wasn't there, because my daddy never bothered, right? He's still almost not bothering. But let me tell you a great thing. I think this is a great note to leave on, because I ain't saying that our men got it all together. That's not what I'm saying. I ain't saying our women got it all together, because that's not what I'm saying. I actually started to see how women play a part in some of the stuff that they only said men do. But that's a whole nother story. Catch me on a different time and we'll talk about it, but it'll be here on this channel. So in the opportunity to love my stepfather, right? His own biological son wanted nothing to do with him, because I don't know all the details because his son was older than me. And so, but what I'm assuming is that him and my mom was on drugs. So his father was a drug addict, like my mom was a drug addict. So his father was a drug addict, and his mom took him far away across the country away from his daddy. So therefore, this boy never had a relationship with his father. And then his dad gets with my mom, and so this is how I met him. But he was always a stand-up guy. He made sure we went to the circus each year. I remember going to IHOP with them. Like it was just he made it presence. He made my mom, who was on drugs, make her accountable for seeing about her children. And so see, sometimes it is the men in our life that make us show up to be who we really are, right? Women, we it ain't always just us. And so I appreciated that man, right? And so when he went to jail, I wrote him a letter to tell him that I appreciate you, because some of my other friends' moms, they got with dudes and they ain't give a fuck about their children. They didn't care about that lady's children. So, but in the opportunity of loving my stepfather, right? In the opportunity of being present, even when his son wasn't. After stroke number 3, his son barely didn't come around. This is no jab to him, but I'm just saying, like we get choices. We get choices, and as children, who didn't have children, you got to know that you teach your children how to teach you when you get older, how you treat your parents. Let me say that again. As a child who has decided to have children, you teach then your children how to treat you when they get older. And so I had the opportunity to love this man unto death, right? Because he died at home with us. And so in the opportunity of loving him, I know that because my heart was so pure. And because it came without judgment, and it came without biases, and it came with a higher level of appreciation of just men, period, it opened the door for me to get a relationship with my biological father, because that's the way love goes. Love is so intentional. Love is so holistic. Love is the one thing that should not be pimped. But we pimp it. We use it. Ladies, we use it. We use that's I ain't gonna. But what I'm taking for this is, let's not beat up each other. Let's see how we can absolutely water and nurture each other. And even if that person has wronged you or done you a thing, right? Because uh, domestic violence is a real thing. I'm not taking that back. But the thing about domestic violence, it happens on the man's side too. And so, ladies, you got to understand, like, what's happening to us is happening to our men as well. And so we can't just one-sided coin and bash the men when, ladies, you play a part too. And actually, you play a real part, because y'all are the ones that produce the life, right? Y'all hold these babies, and the babies that you hold are either male or female. Or not, they don't want to even be titled as one. But either way it go, it comes from you. And so ain't no way that something comes from you, and no matter the age, and no matter that they are unable to get nurturing and support from where it comes from. That's all I'm saying. Y'all be great. Keep smiling. Keep shining. And don't do thirsty things on the weekend. Not this weekend. Not no weekend. And a better you equals a better me.